do 17? Are you asking me to do one? Okay, do you know that she's already asked me for 17? I'm doing 17. Am I missing something? Are you asking me to do 29? You know she's asked me to do 17? No, I don't do that for regular homework. I do one at a time. All right, so for number 17 said I have 6 and 1/14, and I'm multiplying that by 6 and 37/51. Is this the one you're talking about? Okay. So one of the things that you guys should have taken notes on and remembered or retaught yourself is when we are multiplying mixed numbers, you have to turn them into improper fractions. So in addition and subtraction, you can change them into improper fractions and do the addition or do the subtraction, but I want you leaving them with addition and subtraction. I want you leaving them as mixed numbers. In multiplication and division, you have to turn them into improper fractions. All right? So I have 14 times 6 is 84 plus 1 is 85. So this is going to be 85/14, and I'm going to multiply that by 6 times 51 plus 37. If I did that right, I have 343/51. Questions so far? Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my multiplication here. I don't see off the top of my head, so this is 3, that's 7 plus 3 is 10. That's not divisible by 3. That's not divisible by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do this multiplication. All right, so I have 343 times 85. This gives me 29,155 divided by 14 times 51, 714. All right, so that's the first part. This is a 5. Now, if you could have divided out common factors, that's fine with me. I probably would have started trying, like 343 divided by 7. Oh, I could divide out common factors here. How many of you guys figured that out? All right, I am going to make my life easier and do that. And since you have calculators, that's an easy one that you can do. This becomes a 2, and this becomes a 49. That makes it a little bit easier. But that's really all, I think. Was there any other dividing out of common factors we could do? AJ, what'd you say? Yeah, I think that's it. So let's do 49 times 85. So that gives me 4,165. Whether you figured that out or not, you would still have to do this next step. Since your givens were mixed numbers, your answer has to be a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and do the division. All right, so I have 4,165 divided by 102. This is going to give me, so it divides into, 102 divides into 416 4 times. Sit up, please. So that's an 8, that's 0, that's a 4. So this is going to be 85. That divides into it 0 times. So this 85 now becomes my numerator. That you guys should already know. That remainder, now that I have divided out as far as I can, and I would put a decimal here if I was turning this into a decimal. That's when we say, nope, I need a mixed number. That 85 now becomes my remainder. So I end up with 40 and 85 over 102. That becomes my numerator. And then I divide out common factors if possible. All right. It is possible. I just can't see what it is. So 85 divided by 5, looking at my answer, that's going to be 17. So they're both divisible by 17. I wouldn't have thought that, but we're going to go with it, which is why that is 5/6. So it's 40 and 5/6. It's really important that you are not using your calculator to do that division. I know all of you probably did. All right, but if you didn't, that's awesome, because you do need to know how to change that. All right, if you did, you got 40.83333, and then you're not sure what to do with that for a fraction. All right, so you have to, when you're turning into a mixed number, you actually have to do the division. Your remainder becomes your numerator. Is that helpful to you? Awesome. What else can I do for you guys? AJ, what number did you want? I just need one at a time, sweetie. What do you want me to do? I can only do one at a time. 21A. All right, so let's take a look at 21. 21 says you want to paint a wall. So we have a wall. I'm just going to call this 21. And I'll just do the whole thing. So my wall is 8 3/4 feet high. So 8 3/4 feet tall by 11 1/4 feet long. You can paint, you have a can of paint that covers 200 square feet with one coat. So we have a can of paint, and it covers 200 square feet of wall in one coat. All right. Find the area of the wall. All right, well, what shape is a wall? I mean, usually, the assumption that you're making is, what shape is the wall? Brendan? A square or a rectangle, right? Absolutely. So my area is length times width. I have to see that formula. That's your game plan. I mean, that formula is essentially your game plan. So I have area is equal to 8 3/4 times 11 1/4. All right, so that's 32, 33, 34, 35. So this is 35/4 times, that's 144 plus 1. I'm sorry, 44 plus 1 is 45. So AJ, you good so far? Okay. I cannot divide out common factors. So I have 35 times 45. This gives me 1575 over 16. All right, again, I just have to do that division. So I have 1575 divided by 16. So that is, it's not 10. I'm going to try 8. Let's try 9 just to see if it works. So 9 times 6 is 54. Carry the 5, that's going to be 14, so that's 144. So that's 1, 3, bring down that 5. Well, we know that's got to probably be 8. All right, so that's going to be 48. Carry the 4, that's 12. That's 7. So this is 98 7/16. So I have 98 7/16 square feet. So that was part A. AJ, you good with that? All right. If we go to part B, let me freeze that real quick. So my area is 98 7/16 square feet. All right. Part B said, if you want to apply 2 coats of paint, do you have enough paint? It says you have a can of paint that will cover 200 square feet in one coat. So we have 200 square feet gives us one coat. All right. So we want to know, does one can, this is one can, does one can cover 200 square feet? How am I going to figure that out? How am I going to figure that out based on what I know? Ada? Say that one more time. Why? What are you looking to find? When you do that math, what are you looking to find? to two coats. So I'm going to say the area of 2 coats is going to be equal to 2 times the area of the wall. There's my game plan, and I would expect you to have that. So if you don't have that, you're writing it down right now, because this is a really nice one to have on a homework quiz or a test. And I don't know why I have to say that, because the moment I say that, first of all, I look over and all of you are like sitting there, and the moment I say that, the vast majority of you pick up your pens to make that correction. You should be making that correction anyway, if you did not have it. That's what your job is right now, is that if you don't have something on this problem that I'm writing down, you're filling in what's missing. Because when I give this to you on a test or a quiz and you don't correct it in your homework, what do you suppose is going to happen on your test or quiz? If you don't correct it in your homework, what do you suppose is going to happen on a test or a quiz? Colin? You'll get it wrong, or you're going to forget something, because you're not correcting your homework. That's one thing. If there are some of you out there, which there are always at some point in time, where you're not happy with what you've gotten on a test or a quiz, my comment to you is, everyone's eyes over here, are you correcting your homework? Or are you just sitting there absently listening while I go over homework problems? If you are correcting your homework and you're paying attention and you're looking at yours, even if you get it right, you're looking at like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that on this. I know she wants me writing game plans. I know she wants me writing the formula. If I'm using a formula, I better do it in my homework. Because if you're not correcting it now, or you're not doing your homework, why would you think to do it on a test? You're not. All right, so if you are somebody who's saying to yourself, I really would like to get better grade in here, that's one thing I can tell you, is make sure you're correcting your homework. Make sure you're paying attention. The other thing I would tell you is go back and redo a problem. If this one gave you troubles, I highly recommend tonight, before you start your homework, redo this problem on your own. Just so you know when you're by yourself, you get it. Okay? All right. So 8 is completely right. I have 2 times 98 and 7/16. That gives me my x. So I'm going to have 2 over 1. All right? I have 98 times 16. No, 98 times 16. And then plus 7. This is going to give me 2 times 15 and 1,575 over 16. I'm going to divide out common factors here. So I end up with 1,575 over 8. I'm going to go ahead and do that division. All right, I'm just going to do this really quick. I have 196. So 8 times 196 minus 1575. This is going to give me a remainder of 7. So my area is 196 and 7/8 square feet. So my answer is yes. The can will cover 2 coats of the wall. You could have accomplished this with adding 98 and 7/16 plus 98 and 7/16 as well. That's another way that you could have accomplished the same math. All right, what else can I do for you guys? Oh, we need to move on. Put this away. Get your notes out. We need to move on. I want to practice some more of these. If there are any more from last night's homework, I am very, very happy to do them tomorrow. So we'll pick up on anything more from last night tomorrow so we can cover both, okay? All right, your directions from Friday. All right, has you taking really good notes from these? All right, so I want to give you a couple more to practice on. All right, so today is the 21st, so January 21st. We are still in Chapter 5, Section 4, continued. So this should be like the next day of notes from Friday, which is what you took in your notes. And we're multiplying fractions. All right, so I want you to multiply the fraction negative 4v squared over 21 times 7v cubed over 16. All right, one of the things I will tell you is, if you notice in the book sometimes they will give you that negative right out in front. The first thing I would always do is put the negative sign. I know I've said this before. Put the negative sign on the numerator. It doesn't matter which one it goes on, but it's going to make more sense if you put it on the numerator. So this is negative 4 times v squared over 21 times a fraction of 7v cubed over 16. What can I do here to make my life considerably easier? Sophia, what can I do? Absolutely, I can divide out common factors. If you can see them better by showing this all as one fraction, that's fine. If you can leave it like this, that's fine. 4 divides into negative 4 negative 1 times. 4 divides into 16 4 times. 7 divides into itself once. 7 divides into 21 3 times. That's going to make your simplifying later to get your final fraction a lot easier. So my numerator, I have negative 1, because negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. I have v to the 2 plus 3 divided by 12. So technically I have negative v to the 5th over 12. Yes? I'm sorry? What is negative? That the exponent's not negative. Remember, it's a good question. It's only when you have a negative exponent, not a negative base. A negative base is just a negative base. This is negative 1 times v to the 5th. So pay attention, it's a negative exponent, okay? How many of you guys are good with that? Okay, let me show you guys a story problem, and I want you guys to do this. All right, I want you to do this problem, please. Now, if you had any troubles with any of the story problems last night, I do want you redoing them. How many of you guys heard what I said? Okay, so I do want you redoing them if you had any troubles with the story problems last night. I expect there to be a game plan that goes with this. How do I know I have to use multiplication for this problem? How do I know I have to use multiplication for this problem, Addie? Because there's a rate. What's your rate? Exactly. You have a rate on this, so you know for sure that you have to use multiplication because that is a rate. Remember, always make sure you see those, whether they're scientific notation numbers, fractions, decimals, integers. Always look for those rates. So Addie, do you want to do this for us? Okay. Equals total flour. Total cups flour. Okay. Keep going. What's my equation? Equals x, right? You guys, this should be an equation. I should see a variable there. The variable is the whole. That is what's missing, so I should see a variable there. All right, what should I do now, sweetie? All right, go ahead. Awesome. I don't think so. I don't think we can here, can we? Yeah. So we just multiply those, right? So when I multiply those, Addie, I get 195 over 4. What do I do now? Someone help us out. What do I do now, Brendan? Excellent. What did you get, Brendan? Remainder of what? Well, you can't have a remainder 35 when my divider is a 4. So let's figure that one out. When my divisor is a 4. A 3? Okay, so that's going to be 16. That's 35. Yep. So that's going to be 3. So this is 3/4. All right, so my x is equal to 48 and 3/4 cups. So I should see that as an explanation. 15 loaves requires 48 and 3/4 cups of flour. Remember, you have to write your answer as a sentence. And I do expect to see capital letters if you're starting with the word. I expect to see periods at the end. I expect to see good sentences, please. Questions on this? All right, so please, if you had any troubles on the story problems, everyone's eyes over here. If you did not write, eyes over here, please. If you did not, AJ, write game plans for your story problems, you're going back and you're fixing that tonight. Do you guys understand? I want you making sure you understand these story problems. Go back and fix them if you need to. All right, evens, you are now first to go.